Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Satire Station, and I'm your host, Jay Charles. I will be doing a regular video later this week. This is not a normal video, but I wanted to do this video because it interests me. The video will be why I think that Infinity War will make $2 billion. I'm aware that there are only 3 movies in existence right now that have done that, if you exclude movies that are adjusted for inflation, but those 3 movies are Avatar, Titanic, and The Force Awakens. They've each made at least $2 billion, and now I'm going to lay out 3 reasons why I believe that Infinity War will make $2 billion and join that club. On a separate note, very briefly, I did predict that Star Wars Force Awakens would make $2 billion before that came out, and I predicted that Black Panther would make $1 billion before that came out, and I was very surprised that everyone else was surprised that it did make $1 billion, but more of that later. So, now we go into the 3 points. The first reason is Infinity War has more hype than The Force Awakens. The reason I'm comparing it to The Force Awakens is because out of the 3 movies I just listed that made $2 billion, The Force Awakens, Titanic, and Avatar, Force Awakens has the most in common with Infinity War, mainly because both of those movies are part of a series, a lot of anticipation, a lot of people waiting for it to come out. There's a big fan base. That wasn't really the case with Avatar and Titanic. And mainly we're going to look at the first trailer for Infinity War and the first trailer for The Force Awakens. So when we look at the first trailer for The Force Awakens on the most viewed trailers list in the first 24 hours on Wikipedia, which I'll link, this is taking from YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, these stats. Force Awakens had 112 million views in the first 24 hours. Infinity War had 230 million views in the first 24 hours. So Infinity War had more than double the views of The Force Awakens. So more people watched the Infinity War trailer than Force Awakens. But also when we break it down into YouTube specifically, because that's a little more easier to look at and track and analyze, The Force Awakens has 101 million views to date. It came out October 19, 2015. Infinity War has 160 million views to date, and that came out November 29, 2017. So the Force Awakens trailer came out 2 years, 5 months, and 10 days ago, whereas the Infinity War trailer came out 4 months ago. So the Infinity War trailer has been out 13% of the time that the Force Awakens trailer has, yet it has 60% more views, 101 million compared to 160 million. And then when we break it down looking into the likes and dislikes, The Force Awakens has 732,000 reactions, meaning you combine the likes and dislikes numbers. Out of all that, 3% is dislikes. 97% is likes. We look at the Infinity War trailer, there are 3,169,000 reactions. 2% is dislikes. 98% is likes. This is a small detail, but at the same time, 2% of people disliked the Infinity War trailer and 3% of people disliked the Force Awakens trailer. It's minor, but it's still 1% more. But when we compare the reactions of the Force Awakens to Infinity War, combining likes and dislikes on the video, there were 732,000 reactions on Force Awakens. There were 3,169,000 reactions on Infinity War. That's 4.2 times the reactions for the Infinity War trailer, which means, yes, there are more people that reacted to it, but per viewer, there were more people that reacted to it. So when we compare the views of the Force Awakens trailer on YouTube to the amount of people that reacted to it, we have 0.007%. When we do the same comparison for Infinity War, we have 0.019%. So more than double the viewers reacted to the Infinity War trailer. So Infinity War got more of a reaction per viewer than The Force Awakens did, by more than double, which is interesting. I think that is very important. Also, when we look at the comments on The Force Awakens trailer and the Infinity War trailer, there are 120,000 comments on the Force Awakens trailer. There are 412,000 comments on the Infinity War trailer. So when we compare the views on The Force Awakens to the comments, and the same thing on Infinity War, the amount of viewers that commented on the Force Awakens trailer was 0.001%. When we do the same comparison to the Infinity War trailer, it was 0.002%. So double the viewers commented on the Infinity War trailer compared to the Force Awakens. So again, what we're seeing is that the Infinity War trailer got more of a reaction per viewer than the Force Awakens trailer did per viewer. In every case by at least double. Something else interesting to note is that the second Force Awakens trailer that came out on YouTube has 24 million views right now, and the second Infinity War trailer that came out on YouTube has 51 million views right now. So again, same kind of time period, but basically the Infinity War trailer, the second one, has twice as many views as the second Force Awakens trailer. And this is important because this shows how many people are watching the trailer. I've heard people say that The Force Awakens had more hype. I don't think it does. I think that Infinity War has more hype. It's the most viewed trailer of any movie ever. Right now it has 160 million views, compared to Force Awakens' 101 million views. So, again, Force Awakens is number 10 on the most viewed trailers in the first 24 hours, and Infinity War is number 1. So I don't really see the argument that there's more hype. Which now brings me into my second point, which is that there is more consistency in the Marvel movies than there are in the Star Wars movies. And when you look at the timeline of the movies coming out for Star Wars compared to the timeline of the movies coming out for Marvel, there were 3 Star Wars movies that came out late 70s to the 80s. The second batch of 3 came out 1999 and then early 2000s. And then all of a sudden Disney buys Star Wars and then makes another movie. Whereas we have Marvel making movies consistently for the last 10 years, doing 2 to 3 movies a year. And more importantly, there has been a singular point that Marvel has been building up to, which is Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet. The same can't be said about Star Wars. It was 3 episodes decades ago, and then 3 prequel episodes in the 2000s, and then now 3 sequel episodes which follow 4, 5, and 6. So again, there's more focus on the story element of Infinity War than I think that there has been with Force Awakens, because Force Awakens was simply another Star Wars movie that would begin another trilogy, whereas Infinity War is the conclusion to 10 years of storytelling, which is something that has been really unparalleled, especially considering that Marvel has kept these actors and actresses in vast majority for all these roles. There's just more consistency and more going for Infinity War than I think was going for Force Awakens. And yes, I'm aware of Avengers 4 coming out after Avengers 3 a year later, but generally speaking, the climax is with Avengers 3 to a certain extent. And that brings me to the third point, which is the addition of new characters into Avengers. And when you look at Avengers 1 compared to Avengers 2, yes, they added some new people, like Vision, Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch. But when you compare Avengers 1 and 2, collectively, to Avengers 3, there's going to be a whole lot more characters in Avengers 3 than we saw in Avengers 2. We have Black Panther, Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Doctor Strange. Avengers 1 made $1.5 billion, Avengers 2 made $1.4 billion. So to believe that Avengers 3 could make $2 billion, you would be assuming that Spider-Man, Guardians, Black Panther, and Doctor Strange collectively would bring in another 500 or 600 million, and I don't think that's a stretch at all to assume that they could. Furthermore, when you're looking at these sale figures, Fandango reported that Infinity War achieved the largest initial 24-hour pre-ticket sales for a superhero film in just 6 hours. Also, AMC noted that Infinity War's advanced ticket sales was 1,100% ahead of Avengers 2 during the same time frame. And that just points to the multiple factors that are happening in this movie, the fact they built up to it. There's more hype, there's more consistency, all the new characters. There's really no reason to believe that it wouldn't make $2 billion. So that's my prediction. Also, concerning Black Panther, I predicted that Black Panther would make $1 billion because, one, it was the last movie until Infinity War, and Black Panther looked like a really interesting movie, but at the same time, he had a lot of hype going for him from Civil War. So it was just really mind-blowing to me that I didn't see a lot of predictions for $1 billion. You know, Thor Ragnarok did good, so you had some hype carrying over into Black Panther. It just really was kind of strange to me that no one thought it would make $1 billion. So to me, it was kind of a no-brainer. It's at $1.2 billion now, but that's probably the cap for it. Certainly when Avengers Infinity War comes out, its run is over. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed my prediction. Hope you agree with it. If you don't, be sure to comment why you don't. And if you do, comment why you do. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out my others. They are very different than this, I can assure you of that.